I'm so excited. Hello and welcome back to my channel. This morning, I figured we would do this outside because it just shows so much more about this quilt. But this is our quilt that we're gonna be working with today. Let me spread it out. This is just half of the width of it. So we've got double the width as you can see here, and it is a double wedding ring quilt that we're going to be working with. It is so gorgeous. Let me come out close. As you can see from the pattern, there are little pink stripes, little blue stripes. There's some florals, some corals, some blue florals, all sorts of different beautiful prints that I think are gonna go great on my shop. And I've done 3 quilts in the past that I've upcycled into all different things like tote bags, makeup bags, wallets, all different products on my shop. And just being able to reuse these quilts and upcycle them into something that so many other people can enjoy is just so rewarding. So we're doing it again today, and I just figured the morning light would really show all the different patterns of this quilt really well. This quilt, I am not sure on the history of it, just like a lot of my other quilts, but it has been used. There are a couple stitches missing here and there, just causing some holes, but nothing major, nothing compared to our last quilt. That one we really had to stitch up. But this one is looking in pretty good condition, I would say, especially for having been used as a quilt for so long. Typically, I aim for quilts that do need a little bit of help, but for the most part don't have any staining, don't have any like major tears, major rips where they need patches done to them. And that's just for the sake of keeping products in good quality for my customers. Like, there are tons and tons of people out there who repurpose these quilts into something else and then don't sell them. They'll donate them, or they'll donate them back to the original quilt owner. But in my case, where I'm selling them on my shop, I would like to have great canvas to work from, just so that I'm not selling products that have like stains on them. Like, nobody wants that. So I have gone ahead and washed this quilt. Just like all my other quilts, I usually wash them once or twice just to kind of get all that grime out. Oh, but like right here, I can already see a hole. Just right here, I'm not sure if that light is picking it up, but right here, there is just some fraying going on. So we will have just a couple holes to fix up, but nothing major, nothing compared to our last one. But I'm so excited to dig into this quilt. These are some of my favorite colors. The blues and the pinks are by far some of my favorite, and especially with the florals and the stripes, I think we can find some really adorable fabric to go along with this. And that's something that I'm really excited to play around with today, because I think I have some fabric that might work for this. So let's go ahead and head inside and see what we have in my fabric stash already, so that we can hopefully use up some of that stash, because I always go and just buy more fabric, but I have so much. So let's go check it out. All right, we are just gonna kind of work through all the different colors of this quilt. So first, let's start with the blue. So we have this little blue and white stripe patch here. And my whole thing with making these products is I want the quilt to be on the outside. So whatever is on the inside, I want it to complement, or I want it to match, or I want it to like, yeah, complement or match. That's really the only 2 options. But I have this beautiful baby blue plain fabric from my last collection that I could use. And I just want to see if these 2 blues match. I mean, yes. Like, just from a first glance, if you were to see these 2 together, sorry, you can't even see the quilt, but if you were to see this quilt with this blue, you wouldn't be like, oh, that doesn't match. Like, I actually really like that. So I think we could use this blue. I don't know, the blue on here is a little bit more navy now that I'm looking at it. Okay, we'll keep this in the options, but I'm gonna set it aside. And now I'm really just gonna line this up with all my different fabrics over here. I feel like we can find one that at least matches. Like, we've got this pink here. This pink would be really cute, but I'm gonna need some more of it. Like this. That's cute. We could just do a play on like pink and blue on the inside, and maybe that's it. I know I had a pink stripe. That's mainly what I'm looking for here. Oh, okay, this one might be cute. Maybe not. But I know I had a pink and white stripe fabric because I've made a whole lot of stuff out of it. What about purple? No. I guess I have pink gingham. We could do that. This is the pink gingham that I have. Maybe this will match. I mean, it's cute, but I think I would rather have stripes. So let me show you the stripes. Let me try and find some. Okay, the only piece that I have is already quilted, but this is what the pink stripe fabric looks like. It's so tiny, but it's so much bigger than the outer fabric as well. So I don't really know if I like that. It just looks a little too like it's trying to be the outer fabric. So I don't think I like that. I think I want to do plain. I know I always do plain for the inside of these, but it's just what I'm thinking for this one. Okay, so we will get a plain blue, a plain pink, but I don't want to bring this whole quilt to the fabric store. So let's go ahead and cut it up. Let's figure out all of our measurements and see exactly how many different products we can get out of this quilt. And more than that, how many of each product we can get, because I always try and maximize it. I always try and get as many products as possible out of one quilt. Oh my gosh, here's a huge hole. I just like barely saw it. Oh wow. Yeah, we've got some repairing to do. Here's another huge hole right here. Can you see that? Just all along this pink is completely ripped. So yeah, let's lay it out, let's measure it, and then we can do our repairs and we can start cutting all of our different products out of here. I'm so excited. These are one of my favorite days ever. I also have 3 other quilts that I upcycled. I'll link all of them down below if you're interested. But it's such a fun process, and it's like being able to use fabric that you can't find anywhere else is just like a dream. I love it. And being able to match the colors and like, it's amazing. Okay, now let's go lay this out. All right, let's see what we're working with here. This quilt is also a lot lighter than other quilts that I've had. Oh wow, and it's a lot smaller too. Okay, yeah, that thing is really, really tiny. All right, that is what we're working with. So first step in the process is doing the repairs first. I learned this the hard way, is I like to do the repairs and then I like to cut everything out. Otherwise you're having to look through every single little piece for holes. So I'm just gonna take my needle and thread and I'm gonna go all the way around these little patches and look for any holes, any frays, chop those off, and just work my way right down. Yeah, I mean, this one looks really good. I mean, there is just a bunch of little frays. I'm gonna get rid of those. I just can't get over how pretty this one is. It is just gorgeous. All right, here we go. We've got a gnarly one right here. So I'm actually just gonna mark this. I usually just like to mark them before I actually start fixing. Okay, here's our other one that we saw earlier. This one's just a blue one. I'm just gonna mark it with my notebook. Here's another one. Sometimes you gotta pull on them a little bit and then they come loose. So right here. And typically the edges always just have a whole bunch of holes, but I usually cut off the edge anyways. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave those for now. Until we actually use them, I'm just gonna leave them. Okay, here's another one. I'll just have to remember right here because I don't have anything else to mark stuff with. All right, here's another one and another. And it looks like that's it. So we've got one. Where's the other? There's a pink one, 2. I can't remember where the other one is. I'll just watch this. Oh wait, it's right here. Oh, duh. So now I'm just gonna take a needle and thread to all of these areas and just fix them right up. Wait, this is not even a hole. What was I talking about? Okay, well that one was easy. So here is my plan. I just, to be fully honest, asked AI like how I can cut this out to make it the best, you know, like I can use the most quilt for certain products. And so it literally just configured like the entire quilt, how it's, you know, sized and everything, and it told me the best way to cut it out. So that's what we're gonna do. And it ended up working out that we're gonna do 7 large totes, which I've never done a large tote for these quilts. So that'll be fun. It's kind of like the weekender tote, and well, it's like halfway in between the weekender tote and the mini tote. And so it'll be a good size for people who feel like the weekender tote is too big for them and the mini tote is too small. So that's what we're doing, and now I'm just folding it in half, just making sure that's nice and taut, and try to get it even everywhere around it. And this is just so that I can cut evenly along it and not have to worry about going all the way down the length. So now we can start measuring and cutting. So I know that I need certain length here. So let's see how long this is. This is 24. for about 24 plus 13, 37. So if that's 37, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to cut this. What about going this way? This way we have about 12, 24, 36, 60 going that way. Well, then we could do, okay, I think I have a plan. Okay, when I just looked at everything, it looks like I could actually get 8. I don't know if that's actually possible though, so let's see. If I just go right along the edge here, this should be nice and flat. We'll have, actually, let's just use this. 12, 24. We'll have our first cut here, and then our second cut right here. I'm just gonna mark those out, and then going up, we should hopefully have the right length that we need. Actually, let's go the other way. Okay, so our first one would be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right here. And then our second, actually, I think this might work. Ooh, I don't know, that's really pushing it. But it'd be like right up here, which is kind of into the scalloped end. We could always just edit the size of the large tote so that we make it like an inch tinier in all dimensions so that we can cut out 8 of them. Why don't we just do that? We're gonna cut out first the width. We can do that. And then once we're actually in the office and cutting it with the rotary blade, we can kind of edit the measurement. Because it's not like it has to stay the same, right? So let's start with the cuts that we know. We know we're gonna go right here. I'm just gonna use this to make sure that we're on track for where we're supposed to be, because I'm like getting scared here. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And I don't wanna cut too short, you know? Oh man, I already made a cut right there. So it's like right here is where we need to go. That seems really weird. Well, in theory, we're gonna be cutting along this edge anyways, so I'm just gonna leave this little bitty cut that I did and just start again. Because we did have a little bit of extra room over here, so it's not like I'm cutting into that. And this might be bad, but I'm just gonna eyeball this. This isn't the part that I feel like has to be measured exact, because once we get it onto the board, it'll be, you know, we can kind of edit it. All right, now let's just carry that all the way through the very end of the quilt. And I'm really just following this seam here, just making sure that I have the same width. Okay, there's our first cut. Now let's do that again. And now I'm gonna see if our blue mark over here changes now that I cut a little bit further in. Yes, just a little bit. So I'm really just gonna cut off this edge over here, just like as close as possible. And then we can change this cut once we get in the office again. All right, there's our one edge completely chopped off. Now let's go ahead and take these over to the board, and then we can cut them into their little slices for the bags. All right, you're a little ways up there, but I think it's gonna help you see what I'm looking at. So here's our piece. And we need to cut our width out of this now. Probably should have done this the other way. And now you can probably see what I'm gonna run into as a little bit of a struggle. And that is, this is way bigger than my board. But now that I think about it, we could cut it, this way, because it's gonna need to be cut this way anyways. Oh my gosh, I just thought that that was a major hole back here. I was like, wait a second. No, it's not. Yeah, we could just cut along the middle now that I think about it. Okay. Let's do that. Should have done that out there. And these are all on top of each other, so I'm just gonna go line this up. The scalloped ends are a little bit larger, but that's totally fine. Now I've just gotta find the center of this. Okay, got a plan here. So I'm just gonna cut right along here. And I just gotta double check this is right? Yep, okay. Perfect. Okay, now we should have a size that we can work with on the board, because before it was just way too big. But now I can actually measure out how far we can go to the end. Because remember I said it was like going into the scalloped end and it was kind of an issue. Well, now we can line that up exact so we know how far we can get and then go from there. Let's see. So we need, I'm forgetting my measurements. All right, let's see here. So we need here, and then how big is this? Actually, that's not gonna work. We're gonna have to decrease by like 1/2 inch in our width, which is totally fine. I just need to remember that. Okay, so we're gonna go here, and then we will eventually, this one just right in half, and then I'm gonna cut off this excess here, which all of this excess, originally I don't really have plans to do like wallets or anything. I'm gonna have to scoot you back here. I don't have plans to do wallets or anything, but if we have enough scraps, we can quilt those together and make something out of them. So all of these ends, we can, you know, chop and figure out something to do with these. So I'm just gonna set those aside. Now here's our one little piece that we are gonna use for our large tote bag. Just gonna make sure that these line up nice. They're all right size. It just needs to be chopped off just a little bit here. And you know what? This could get the squares cut out of it. So we're like already to that point for this bag. Yep. So I'm gonna chop out the squares for this. And then this will just make the next, you know, the whole process just a lot easier. Having these cut out already. All right, and then once again with all of these squares, we'll quilt them together, make something super cute, one of a kind. There we go. First piece of our large tote bag. I'm so excited for these. They're a really good size. Like now that I'm looking at it, like I love that. I think it's gonna be a great little cute tote bag, and it's the perfect size for this size of design because you get a whole bunch on your tote bag. All right, I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna cut out our next one. So this one should just be right down the middle, but let's just double check. Yes. All right, just right down the middle, and then hopefully these stack nice. Yes, that is the worst when you go to stack them and then they don't line up and you're like, wait, what did I do? Okay, everything looks good here. I'm gonna cut out the squares. We'll be on to the next. Okay, so we've just gotta repeat that process with this one and just try and get it as close as possible. The edge here. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that this is working. I was getting like really nervous while measuring these. They all look like they're gonna work out. All right, this one I did have to cut just a tiny bit smaller than our last one, and we'll just have to keep track of that. Just with the way that it was cut, it just works out better. Because if you try and like stretch it to make a certain size, it just really makes for a poor end result. So I'd rather cut it to the right size than like have random sizes going everywhere, even if it is just a tad smaller. So I'll put this one in a separate pile that is for smaller ones, and I'll just make a note of that. This one will probably be the same way. This one's actually a bit longer than I thought. So we've actually got some extra off of this one. And then once again, I'll just make sure that these line up nice. This one will probably be another small one just because it was cut off the same slice as that other one. Yeah, it looks like it. So I'll just take off this little extra here. All right, there's our first one done, and I'm gonna grab our other slice and work through that one as well. All right, got all of our tote bags cut out here, all of our large tote bags. We barely have any scraps, so we'll probably only have like 2 or 3 wallets maybe. But other than that, this is really all that's gonna be made from this quilt since it was so tiny. But I'm so excited. It's gonna be so cute. And I think we ended up getting 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Yeah, I don't know how 8 happened, but we did it. So let's go ahead and go fabric shopping. I'm gonna bring some of our scraps with us, just like these little scalloped ends here so that we can see all the different colors on there. And probably just get like a pink and a blue and call it good. I think these are gonna be adorable. I can't wait to see how they turn out. So I'm gonna go and grab our fabric really quick. All right, got all of our fabric here. Our very first one that I chose is a blue that it doesn't exactly match, but I think it's close enough to where when it's on the line or on the inside, I think it looks good. And honestly, that's all that matters. It kind of matches as like a navy blue, but it's not like perfect dead on the exact same color, but I think it's just fine. And I think it really goes along with all the other colors on the bag as well. So first up is a blue. It's kind of like a dusty, muted, dull blue. Okay, anyways, you can clearly see it. So then our next one, we have a light pink. I think I've used this pink multiple times now for these upcycled quilted bags and even for my limited edition small batch collections. And so this baby pink looks gorgeous. Where's my piece? Here we go. It looks gorgeous with all the different colors on here. I just think that looks so cute, and especially with like all these little florals, like look at how cute that is. I just love it. So we'll have this pink, we'll have the blue, and that'll be it. We'll just do 4 bags of each. And to go along with the blue, I also picked up a thread. So the thread I was looking up is supposed to be a little bit darker as opposed to a little bit lighter, because I couldn't find the exact shade as this. So I chose a little bit darker, and just for aesthetic reasons, I feel like it's gonna make it look better. I don't know. So then we've got blue, and then for the pink, I'm really running low for my pink thread that matches this because I've had one in the past because I've used this fabric. So I've used that pink so much that I'm almost out, and they didn't have any at the store. So I'm thinking we're gonna do just white or on this pink because you can't really even tell. I'll probably do pink to sew up the hole in the liner, and then I'll do white for like pretty much everything else, like the rim and the straps and all those. So that's the plan. I'm gonna get to cutting out our liners, and then we can start like ironing our straps, ironing our pockets. We've got a lot to do to assemble these bags. So let's get to it. All right, we now have all the straps pinned. I also ironed all of our pockets, and here's my plan for the next step. So we need to do this before we can add anything to the liners or the outer fabric, because this is what we're adding. So I'm gonna sew 4 lines along each strap, and I'm gonna do that same thing for the pockets, like one color after another. Does that, wait, hang on. I'm gonna sew all the pink straps, and then all the pink pockets, and then all the blue straps, and then all the blue pockets, so that I don't have to switch my thread so much. That's what I'm trying to say. And for this step, I'm gonna do white thread, white bobbin for the pink, and then blue thread, blue bobbin for the blue, because I decided I really don't have a lot of that pink, so I'm just gonna save it for when I'm closing up that liner hole, and that's it. Just to like minimize seeing that in the bag. But I'm gonna go ahead and fill up my blue bobbin and then sew all of these. And I also thought well, I'm going back on that. Not what I just said, but my idea of sewing all of the pockets and then immediately ironing them, pinning them on, and then sewing the pockets on, because it's gonna be the same thread. But I'm going back on that since it's only 2 different colors. Like, that's not a huge deal to trade out for that. And it just make it easier, like not having to get up, iron it, leave the iron on, sew it, do it again. So yeah, I'm actually not gonna do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and sew all of these, and this part won't take very long. Usually I do like almost a 3 for my stitch length, so we can just knock these out really quick. I just can't get enough of these new straps. This is the new way that I've done it since the second quilt. Yeah, since the second upcycled quilt that I did. So this is now my 4th one. And this strap I added little interfacing to, and not only does it look plush, but it feels so plush and just like a good durable strap. And that's exactly what you need for these upcycled tote bags, because they are very thick themselves, because they're literally a quilt. And for these straps, all I do is I cut out the entire width of the bolt, and so this is like 40 or 44 or something about that. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it in half, chop off the fraying ends and the extra interfacing, so then it's a nice clean, chop right there. And this is the part that'll go against the tote bag. And then all I'm gonna do is go to the other side, go in half, and chop that, which feels so wrong, but then you have 2 straps, and this is enough for one of the tote bags, because I'm not gonna do the long attached straps. I just want the little mini strap. And usually for weekender totes, I'll do them a lot longer than this, just simply because they're a bigger bag. But for the large tote bags, this will be perfect. And sometimes even in my office, I'll like throw it over my shoulder and make sure that it reaches to the length that I want the top of the tote bag to be at, which is usually about here. Because once you actually have a tote bag like hanging on it, it'll be a lot easier to see. But that's just how I do my straps. It makes it a lot easier, and it makes it a lot quicker than having to cut these and then sew them. I just cut them afterwards, and then you know that your lines are exactly even with each other. And I just sew all of the straps in one line. So anyways, I'm gonna do that for all of these. It is really satisfying to do, and it's like one of my favorite parts, because it's like the very last step of the straps, and then you're ready to pin them on. But I've got the iron going. We're heating that up for all the pockets, because those need to be ironed again. They just get the sides folded in twice, and then we gotta sew those onto the liner. Our next step is to pin on our straps and labels and pockets. And then after we do that, it's like home stretch. Like, we are so close to finishing all of these tote bags. So we probably should finish them by tonight, and I can show you all of them hopefully tonight. And I might even be able to take listing photos now that it's summer. It's so bright out, like so late, so I can probably take the photos today as well. But usually this never happens. This is like such an anomaly. Usually these take me a couple days to do just because of how many moving parts there are and like having to cut out the quilt, measure it, and figure out all those sorts of things. So this one has been fun. But yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna time lapse this for y'all. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep on going. Do you remember that random little cut that I did earlier on the quilt that I ended up not going with all the way down the quilt? Yeah, well, I forgot about it, and until I started sewing, I didn't even notice it, but it's right here. And so I'm gonna fix this really quick. And I was actually just thinking about how these tote bags all started because, sorry, I'm like trying to focus here. Okay, I was thinking about how these tote bags actually started, and so I started out with mini tote bags on my shop, and then, you know, people wanted a bigger option. People were like, I don't really, should I be doing this from the inside? Probably. Okay, sorry. People were like, I want a larger tote, like I want something that can carry all of my stuff, and I'm like, okay, we can do a larger tote. And I don't know, I guess like the large tote size just ended up sticking and I never really changed it. And I actually just answered an email today that's very similar to what I'm gonna be talking about, which is, she was asking basically like, how did I choose what products I wanted to sell on my shop, especially at the beginning of it? And like, how did I develop them? Like, how did I think of them? How did I mean, just everything, like basically, how did you get started? And I answered it and I was really reflecting and I was like, well, I really just started with things that I wanted. Like, I wanted a tote bag and I wanted a mini tote bag. I didn't really want something huge on my shoulder. And so that's just what I made. And then, you know, people asked for a larger one. And so I made that. And like, it just all really came so naturally that I guess I never really like thought back to reflect on how it all started. It was just TikTok comments and YouTube comments. And well, at the beginning it was really TikTok comments because I didn't have YouTube yet. But it was always just, I made what people wanted, and that's still how it is. Like, people want limited edition collections, and that's what I do. And more than that, it's like I will do things that not only people ask for, but I also enjoy doing. And sorry, let me check this really quick. How's this looking? Okay, a little bit further. But yeah, I always want to continue that with my business and making things that not only people like, but also that I like to make, because what's the point in running my small business if it's not something that I like making or doing or filming or whatnot? I mean, just all of it. So if you've ever had that similar question and you're just like trying to figure out how to start, that is literally just what I did. I made something that I wanted for myself and that I figured other people could also enjoy. And it really just kind of grew from there. It was crazy how quickly it all took off. And if you could tell me like a year ago that this is what I would be doing, I'd be like, no way. That's not true. So all this to say, these tote bags really just started out as something that I wanted and something that I felt passionate about. And then people happened to just love them. And it just grew and grew from there. All right, so I fixed up that hole so it looks better. Yeah, I think that looks good. But I can't even believe how cute they're turning out. This is like the perfect size tote bag. So this is actually a little bit smaller than my original large tote bag size that I have. It's like shrinked by like an inch or like an inch and a half. It's adorable though, like a little bit bigger than the mini tote. I honestly think that this is like a regular size tote bag. This isn't even a size large, I would say. This is like a regular size. If I were to ever to sell a regular size tote bag, I think that this is what it would be. But we still need to add the liner on it. This is looking a little bit crazy, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin all of our liners and everything, but we're so close to finishing all of these up. And then I'll show you the full result once I've got them all sewn and done. I'm so excited. I figured it'd only be right that we that we end this video the same way that we started it, and that is right here outside with all 8 brand new upcycled, quilted, one-of-a-kind, limited edition tote bags, and handmade. I forgot that. But they are all done. They are so gorgeous. Let me just show you a little up close. They're all truly one of a kind. These will never come again. I'm just gonna go through, cut off any loose ends, you know, find any holes like that, and just make sure that they are absolutely perfect for you guys. They are so beautiful though, and I love the fact that I did both blue and pink. I think they both look great. They both complement the quilt in different but great ways, and just the colors on all of these are just gorgeous. I wish that I could show you like every single one, but they're all gonna be on the website, so you guys can shop now all of these different tote bags. They all have a pocket on the inside as well. So let me show you here. So this one, it has a pocket just right on the inside here. It's a 9x9 pocket, so it can fit all your little things. So sorry, but the lighting is just not good out here, but there's a little pocket to fit all your like keys, your phone, anything for on the go. And I just, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so hard for me not to keep one of these. This is like my first collection where I'm like, I really, really just want to keep one. And on the shoulder, let me show you it on the shoulder. On the shoulder, it fits so nice. The straps are the perfect length, and it is just the cutest little tote bag. You can just take it with you on the go. I wish I could take all of these with me on the go because it's so cute. And I love all the comments that I get, and DMs and emails and messages and everything of people saying, you know, somebody asked me where my tote bag is from, and I get to say, oh, it's one of a kind. It's from Xoxo Charley, and there's not a single one that's like it. That's just one of my favorite things about these. But this was such a fun process. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the behind the scenes of how I upcycle a quilt and just try and prevent any waste going to the landfill, and just being able to upcycle these into something that 8 different people can enjoy is just amazing. I don't even have words for it. But like I said, these are all available on the website now, so you guys can go and shop them. Let me know which is your favorite. Are you team blue, team pink? Let me know. And with that, I'll see you guys in my very next video. I also do have 3 other videos now that are upcycling quilts as well. So if you enjoyed this one, you'll definitely enjoy those other 3. But anyways, with that guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Mwah. Bye.